Lil Durk is at the center of a storm no one saw coming. From cooperating witnesses flipping, to family drama, to lyrics being used as evidence, this case is like a real-life thriller. And the question everyone's asking is, could this rap star really be facing life behind bars? Stay tuned, because what happened next in court will shock you. Rapper Lil Durk is making headlines again, and the latest updates aren't looking good for him. Reports suggest new members of his circle are now cooperating with authorities, which has stirred up even more drama around his legal battles. Durk was visibly emotional at a recent hearing. Those who were there said he appeared thinner, had cut his dreads, and was dealing with several legal motions. The judge denied his request to disqualify certain proceedings, dismissed his motion for vagueness, and is still considering his motion for a bill of particulars. Both sides have been allowed to submit additional responses by Friday, and one of his motions to dismiss a specific charge is still under review. The courtroom updates sparked a lot of discussion online, including on the No Jumper podcast. People expressed concern for Durk, especially given that he has children. Many noted that it's heartbreaking when someone with a family faces serious legal troubles. According to prosecutors, rapper Lil Durk is at the center of serious allegations involving the violent retaliation for King Von's death. The federal case claims that Durk allegedly ordered hits on members of the O'Block crew because they failed to respond to Von's passing. Prosecutors are preparing testimony from a cooperating witness who claims to have direct knowledge of these orders, potentially tying Durk directly to violent activity. Alongside this, there are reports of a feud between Durk and Monada, a conflict that prosecutors say stems from disagreements over how retaliation or the lack of it was handled after Von's death. The allegations have drawn attention not just from legal authorities but from figures in the hip-hop community as well. Industry commentators, including Wack 100, have publicly weighed in, describing the situation as suspect. Wack 100 and others have stressed, however, that while the claims are serious, the evidence remains under scrutiny, and nothing has been conclusively proven in court. The story, therefore, sits at the intersection of street drama, legal strategy, and public perception, creating a complex narrative that's being watched closely by fans and media alike. Prosecutors allege that Durk's involvement in ordering hits was motivated not just by loyalty or revenge, but by a desire to assert control over his circle and protect his reputation in the streets. The cooperating witness, whose identity has not been fully disclosed, is expected to provide detailed testimony about conversations and actions that allegedly link Durk to criminal activity. If the witness testifies successfully, this could significantly strengthen the government's case. However, legal experts caution that witness testimony, particularly from cooperating defendants, can be unreliable and is often heavily contested by defense attorneys. Durk's lawyers, meanwhile, have vigorously defended him, arguing that there is insufficient evidence to directly tie him to any violent acts. They contend that much of the prosecution's case relies on hearsay and testimony from individuals who have their own incentives, such as reduced sentences, to testify against him. Additionally, they note that Durk's lyrics and public statements have been taken out of context, and while they may reference street activity, this does not constitute proof that he committed crimes. Defense attorneys have raised First Amendment concerns, arguing that Durk's artistic expression should not be used as evidence of criminal intent. They emphasize that music often reflects experiences and narratives from the streets, which does not automatically translate into real-world action. The timeline of events also plays a key role in the legal proceedings. King Von's death, which occurred prior to the alleged retaliatory actions, set off a chain reaction of disputes and conflicts among various street groups. The feud with Monada reportedly began because some members were hesitant or unwilling to act in retaliation, which, according to prosecutors, angered Durk and created a motive for him to issue orders to those loyal to him. However, Durk's legal team has pointed out inconsistencies in these accounts, suggesting that the chain of events may be more complicated and that there is no clear evidence linking him to planning or executing violence. Adding to the complexity, some figures close to the situation have tried to publicly distance themselves from the conflict. For example, individuals like D have made statements clarifying their roles in the events, emphasizing that they were not part of any criminal planning. This separation of parties has the potential to weaken the prosecution's narrative, as it challenges the claim that Durk coordinated a broader conspiracy. Similarly, other members of Durk's circle have faced scrutiny, with law enforcement monitoring those who might provide additional testimony. This environment of tension and uncertainty has only intensified public interest in the case. The situation has also sparked discussions in the media and among fans about how real-life events intersect with hip-hop culture. Many point out that Durk's lyrics, interviews, and public persona often reflect street realities, which can be misinterpreted as direct admissions of criminal behavior. Legal analysts note that while prosecutors may attempt to use these elements as evidence, courts have historically struggled to distinguish between artistic expression and actionable evidence, making this a key battleground in Durk's defense. Another complicating factor is the ongoing legal strategy from Durk's team. They have filed motions challenging the indictment on grounds of vagueness, requesting a bill of particulars to clarify exactly what is being alleged, the nature of the supposed bounties, and the timing of events. This procedural approach is designed to force prosecutors to lay out the specific evidence they intend to use at trial, which Durk's lawyers argue could reveal weaknesses in the case. These legal maneuvers, combined with the defense's focus on freedom of expression, have created a multifaceted battle that extends beyond the courtroom, drawing attention from both the hip-hop community and the broader public. In the meantime, Durk remains under close federal supervision, facing serious charges that carry the potential for life in prison. The legal process is ongoing, and the outcome will depend on the strength of witness testimony, the interpretation of artistic expression, and the ability of Durk's defense team to challenge the prosecution's narrative. Public reactions continue to fluctuate, with some fans defending Durk and emphasizing the First Amendment arguments, while others remain skeptical and watchful of developments in the case. As the trial approaches, all eyes remain on the court proceedings. The allegations against Durk highlight the delicate balance between artistic freedom, street credibility, and legal accountability, illustrating how complex cases like this can become when public figures are involved. The testimony of cooperating witnesses, the scrutiny of lyrics, and the detailed examination of relationships within Durk's circle will all play pivotal roles in shaping the outcome, making this a high-stakes legal drama with implications far beyond the music industry. Interestingly, the main witness who is cooperating has recently changed his story. At first, he denied that any bounties existed, but now he claims there were. Another figure, D, is distancing himself from the case, making it clear that the evidence against Durk isn't tied to him. This move could actually benefit Durk, as one of the key links in the conspiracy is being removed. Despite this, the trial is expected to be delayed. Prosecutors plan to introduce additional pages of evidence, which could lead to more charges. They believe Durk may have been involved in the 2021 Georgia attack on Quando and his crew, and they're even examining whether some of Durk's lyrics hinted at the crime. One timeline the prosecutors are using comes from Durk's own words on a podcast. He mentioned that after his song about King Von came out in October 2021, he noticed certain comments telling him to slide for Von disappeared. Lil Pav then passed in August 2022, and prosecutors are using this sequence to build their case. Durk's lawyer has scored a small win, with some motions still under advisement, but the legal storm is far from over. The coming weeks will be crucial, as both sides submit responses and new evidence continues to emerge. Lil Durk and his legal team still aren't backing down. They recently tried again to get him released on bond, and they were confident this time it might work. Even Durk's father spoke out, saying they were hopeful his son would be coming home. This was their third bond attempt, and the lawyers put together an offer they believed the judge wouldn't reject. Durk's father explained after leaving the courtroom. This time the judge was fair. He wasn't taking sides. He only cared about justice. He said the judge listened closely to all the evidence and promised to make a decision in the next few days. Durk's father thanked everyone for the support and prayers, hoping this attempt brings a positive outcome. This hearing happened at the perfect moment because just days earlier, prosecutors had tried to use Durk's lyrics as evidence. Durk's team argued that those lyrics were recorded before Lil Pav passed, and they proved it. Because of that, those lyrics were removed from the case. However, Durk's lawyer says the entire case is weak anyway. It got even stranger when Ottovani texted a friend about his plea deal. That friend leaked the messages. In the texts, Ottovani explained he was trying to accept a plea worth 32 years, which could be lowered to about 5 to 7 years if he took a deal instead of going to trial. He also mentioned other defendants in the case. Then things took a dramatic turn. Ottovani's father publicly called his own son out. Instead of being relieved about a shorter sentence, he accused Ottovani of being partly responsible for King Von's passing. He even claimed Durk knew about it. He said there's a backdoor situation and suggested he has enough evidence and witnesses to prove it. He claimed. Durk asked Ottavani, "Is it open?" And Ottavani replied, "It's off the hinges." When asked if that meant someone betrayed King Von, the father hinted yes but refused to say it directly. Once you connect these accusations to Durk's old criminal case with Von, everything becomes even more suspicious. That case ended in a private settlement shortly after Von died, and Durk's charges were dropped. Some people believe Durk could have benefited from Von being gone. Von's deal also didn't seem to favor Durk on a business level. Von was not tied to Durk with a strict contract and was becoming more successful on his own. That led many fans to wonder if jealousy or business pressure played a role. People online also noticed something odd. Durk often goes live on Instagram when someone linked to him passes away. King Von, Lil Pab, and FBG Duck. Fans think he uses Instagram like a real-time alibi. But Ottavani's father didn't stop there. He claimed Ottavani was also responsible for Lil Pab's death. He even said he tried warning his son, but Ottavani ignored him. With all this happening at once, witnesses changing stories, people flipping, accusations between families, the case continues to grow more complicated. Durk might be closer to Bond, but the legal fight around him isn't slowing down. This situation keeps proving that once you're involved in the streets, the danger never stops. According to one source, Vanny's snitching wasn't the only issue. There was even more drama surrounding who else was talking to the police. At first, people misunderstood the leaked text messages. Some thought they showed Vanny telling on someone, but the person who originally broke the story explained it clearly. Those messages were about his plea deal, not about snitching. He said he only mentioned Vanny because people assumed he was planning to tell, and he simply pointed out that Vanny already played a role in organizing certain events, but Vanny wasn't the only one flipping. Deed's younger brother, Ted, was also arrested after police found him carrying a gun inside a store. What shocked everyone was how fast Ted tried to cooperate once he got to the police station. He instantly said he could give details about certain deaths if they let him go. Surveillance video shows Ted crying, begging the officers to listen and offering information just to avoid being locked up. Since Ted is Deed's younger brother, nobody knows what secrets he might know. That's what makes his situation so important. Even though everything seems to be building against Durk, his lawyers still believe the prosecutors don't have enough proof. Durk filed a new motion asking the judge to dismiss the updated indictment because it's too vague. If the judge refuses, Durk wants the prosecutors to give exact details of what they claim, what the bounty was, when it was offered, what coded language was used, and the circumstances around it. His lawyers want them to specifically show proof that Durk put a reward on Quando Rondo. Normally, this information would already be included in the indictment. The fact that it isn't makes Durk's team believe the government doesn't actually have evidence and is trying to stall. Meanwhile, news from inside the jail says Durk was recently put into solitary confinement for allegedly having a phone in his cell. People close to him say that isn't true, and that the jail is just trying to punish him or make an example out of him, possibly because they view him as a high-profile inmate. Others think solitary confinement might have been for his own safety. There were reports that Durk was recently targeted in jail. Even Lil Baby reacted online, saying, "I don't care about anything else right now. Free Durk." Fans also noticed that Durk's close friend, Glee, passed away in Chicago during the same week, and some believe members of Durk's circle are being targeted one by one. The tension around Durk's case had everyone on edge, wondering who might be targeting them next. On the same day Durk was reportedly targeted, friends of Lil Pab, Quando Rondo, and Lil Tim all did interviews. They didn't openly attack Durk, instead, trying to stay calm and polite, but many fans suspect this was just a way to avoid law enforcement scrutiny. Some thought their explanations were just a cover story. "I was just protecting my little brother." Quando Rondo opened up about how he felt when he learned it was King Von behind certain events. "I was like, damn, if Brian hadn't done that, he'd still be alive. But I'm a humble person. I don't go chasing clout or disrespect anyone's family. It could have been handled differently." Rondo echoed the same sentiment, saying that the whole situation was unnecessary drama. He mentioned that the people involved all had kids and families who loved them, and that things could have been resolved in a safer, more peaceful way. Some fans even noted that, instead of violence, deals could have been made through music or money, like a song or $4 million, but it spiraled into chaos instead. The timing of these interviews, coinciding with Durk being targeted, raised more suspicion. Meanwhile, Durk's time in solitary confinement is hurting his chances of getting bond. However, Durk's legal team does have a strong argument. Freedom of speech. Much of the evidence prosecutors want to use comes from his lyrics or public statements. Durk can argue that he's just expressing himself in his music, not actually committing crimes. His lawyers point out that other music genres, country, pop, R&B, talk about crime or violence without the artists being prosecuted. The First Amendment protects him from being punished for what he raps about, even if Durk were lucky enough to get bond. The government wants to ensure he doesn't use his wealth to influence witnesses. The feds are concerned he might place bounties on people connected to the case. That's why, despite millions being put up partly from his label, the judge denied bond. Durk has far more assets than the amount offered, which makes fleeing a risk in their eyes. Another factor influencing the decision is that some members of Durk's circle already appear to have taken action against witnesses. For instance, F-Jam, a cooperating witness, had been involved in criminal activity but eventually flipped and started cooperating with authorities. The case has seen multiple members go missing or disappear after speaking out, making the feds wary of releasing Durk. Ultimately, Durk is now facing federal charges that carry the possibility of life in prison, which makes bond extremely difficult under federal law. His lawyers are fighting to protect him, but the stakes remain high, and the situation is far from resolved.